Guess the next question is, how do you get to that?
How can you could only get to something that you are not already. There's no question of getting to what you already are. If I were to ask you, Jean, stand up and take a step towards yourself, how would you take a step towards it? You can't. You are already. You are already yourself. You can't go. Your own body is the only thing you can't take a step towards. If I asked you to take a step towards the fan or the table or the speaker or the window, then you can go there. Anything you take a step towards is not yourself. The slightest effort you make in meditation would be an effort towards something other than yourself. Any effort you make in meditation would take you away from yourself. That's why I think I suggested last night that all meditations, not just the progressive path meditations where we direct our attention towards an object, but even self-enquiry, ultimately has to be dropped. Because we cannot make an effort to be what we already are. It's a matter of recognition or understanding, not a matter of efforting or practicing or doing. It's about being, not doing.
So there is recognition
There's a recognition which means, as of course you know, recognito, to know again. It's not some marvelous new experience that we have as a result of the great effort. It's just a knowing again of what we've always known, in fact. But we don't, that is ourself, but that we don't know clearly. It's a clear seeing of ourself. And it's not a new experience that we acquire. It's not some new knowledge. It's not an experience that happens to us. It's just a recognition of what we are. King Lear doesn't become John Smith as a result of his efforts. He just recognizes, John Smith is what I essentially am and have always essentially been, but I mistook myself for an activity of thinking, feeling, sensing, and perceiving. King Lear cannot become John Smith. He was always John Smith. He just didn't know it. So this approach can sometimes be a confrontation for most, if not all of us who have come to this approach, having previously been either on a progressive path, mantra meditation, mindfulness, and so on, or even those of us that have been on the direct path. Usually people come to the direct path after 30 years on the progressive path. And then they spend 10 years on the direct path, and which is a subtler form of doing. So most, if not all of us, come with this feeling that meditation is something we do, and it's true, over the years our doing becomes more and more and more and more refined until we come to this pathless path, this non-meditation, which requires absolutely no effort at all. Remember, Ashtavakra, happiness belongs to that supremely lazy person for whom even blinking is too much trouble. That's us. That's our path. And this can be a real confrontation to the mind, which is invested in doing something. The mind has spent its life doing something for the purpose of becoming happy. Now, in conventional life, the vast majority of people, that their minds are concerned with acquiring objects, substances, activities, states of mind, and relationships for the purpose of finding happiness. Then you come across the spiritual path, then you start repeating your mantra, or watching your breath, or watching your eating, or your walking, or your chewing, and then that becomes a little bit more refined. You start inverting your attention, investigating yourself. All of these are more and more and more refined activities that we do for the purpose of finding happiness. But sooner or later, usually for most people, and certainly for me after decades, but for most people after some time, even the slightest form of doing, efforting, practicing, has to subside. So here, I presume that you are all a mature group. I don't presume it. I know it. That you've all either done your homework in your previous traditions, in the various religious or spiritual traditions, and that you've also done a little bit of homework on my YouTube channel. So that by the time you come here, you don't want to go through all the focusing of your attention, the inverting of I presume you all come here because you just want the bare, highest truth. So that's why we started last night we used to start at the bottom of the mountain and walk slowly up the mountain, and day 5 we get to the top of the mountain. Here we start on the top of the mountain, and then as the days go by we take off. So and I presume that's why you all come here. I think you'd be disappointed if we started halfway down the mountain.